Oh, good shot.
Beautiful move, he's gone, yes. Beautifully gone.
Oh, he's dropped him.
Welcome to the wide world of sports cricket coaching video. What we're trying to do with this video is help young players improve their game and get more enjoyment out of the game. And also, we're trying to help coaches with some tips that'll help improve the young players' game. What we've done is get the Channel 9 cricket commentary team and a few former internationals out of retirement. Well, not quite out of retirement. We haven't got them into their cricket gear, but we're marrying up their thoughts with the excellent footage that we've gathered together over more than a decade of covering international matches. I think you'll find it educational, and it'll also show you that cricket can be a very exciting game.
Ian Botham bowls now to Jeff Thompson.
He's got him. Second time, Trevor knocked it up. And it was taken by Miller. Thompson has gone so close. England win by 3 runs.
Test cricket certainly can be exciting, and as you've just seen, occasionally as a batsman there are disappointments. But if you're taught properly from a young age how to bat, then hopefully you can have more good days than bad days.
Newport, the bowler. He's got it. Beautifully played, Stephen Waugh. That is a tremendous innings, and I think that he recognises it too. He's not one to get too emotional, and have a look at those Aussie teammates of his. They realise that this has been one of the great hands.
If you're going to be a good batsman, firstly you must have a correct grip and a comfortable stance. The correct grip for a right-hander is the V between the thumb and the index finger should be pointing straight down the back of the bat. And that's for the bottom hand. For the top hand, the V should be pointing at the knuckle on the bottom hand. The hands should be close together. So that's pretty well a correct grip for the right-hander. Stance, well, your feet should be about the same distance apart as your shoulders, but basically what feels comfortable for you. Knees just slightly bent. Always put the bat at the back of the toe, not between the feet. That is the best position for the correct backlift. Right, now you're ready to face the bowler.
A very tense start. First morning of a test match. De Freitas looking for line and length.
It's important to remember that only 4 things happen when you bat. You either play forward or back, you either defend or attack. So every time the ball is bowled, you've only got to think about doing 2 things. The attacking shots in cricket are based on the solid forward defence and back defence movements. So that's why it's terribly important to have a good foundation of a solid defence. When it came to a solid fortress, there was no better man than former Australian captain Bill Lawry.
Cartwright made up England's trio of new fast bowlers. Lawry hits him for 6, as he did Price and Rumsey.
It's an exciting challenge opening the batting for Australia or for your club. The part about being an opening batsman is that when you go out to the wicket, you are equal with the bowler. There hasn't been a run scored or a wicket hasn't fallen. So really it's a position of confidence. I always felt that I had an advantage going in first because I was going out there before the bowler had found line or length, and I was extremely confident in my ability maybe to work the ball and pick up a single or 2 in the early overs. But it's common sense really. You treat the bad balls and try and put them away, and you defend against the good balls.
Magnificent shot by Greenwich. Hammered that straight drive down the ground.
The forward defence is very important, particularly when the bowler is swinging the ball, or indeed if a spinner is turning the ball a lot on a turning wicket. And the main ingredient of being successful when playing in a forward defensive shot is to get your foot to the pitch of the ball. As soon as your mind's eye decides that you're going to play a forward shot, you must try and get your foot as close to the pitch of the ball as possible, and then everything else will follow in order. Colin McDonald, the great Victorian opening batsman, gave me some advice when I was a schoolboy coming into the state side. He said, Bill, batting is a side-on game, and I believe if you say side-on, get your foot to the pitch of the ball and give it the full face of the bat, you won't go far wrong. Keep it simple, but be confident in every move that you do make.
Yes, he plays so straight and he's so organised.
Classic piece of defence. The ball darting back at him, and he's so straight and so side on there, and his feet move perfectly.
The back foot defence probably is a little bit more simple in the fact that you've got that split second longer to make up your mind. But it's very important that when you go back the full length of your popping crease. I love watching Greig Chappel bat. I think he's the best defensive back foot batsman I've ever seen in modern cricket, because he used the full width of the crease, got right back, stayed side on, and gave the full face of the bat to every delivery that he wanted to defend. But certainly when you're playing against guys such as Curtly Ambrose or Wes Hall or Ray Windle or Dennis Lillee, you need a great back defence.
Having built up a good defence, then you need to learn how to deal with the loose balls. Remember that cricket matches are either won by a certain number of runs or a certain number of wickets. So they're the two most important components in this game of cricket, runs and wickets. One way of dealing with loose balls is with the drive shots, which, as I mentioned, are an extension of the forward and back defence.
That's a great shot. Straight down the ground. That'll be 4. Into the fence it goes, and so that's the second boundary of the day's play. A lovely straight drive, not a great start for Phil Newport.
When driving, the front foot shouldn't be pointing straight down the pitch. It should be at an angle of 45 degrees. As you move into the shot, the front elbow should be up, and as you make contact, the bat should follow through in the direction you want the ball to go. If you adhere to those principles, you'll become a good driver on either side of the wicket. The only thing that needs to change is the position of the front foot. This should always go towards the pitch of the ball. It's a lovely shot. He's hit 3 really good drives so far in this innings, and that was the third one. They've all gone for boundaries.
Beautifully struck by Jones. What a glorious on drive. And that brings up his 50. He's in rare touch as Dean Jones, and it's good to see.
He certainly is in rare touch. He'll give us some 50.
If you really become proficient and confident, you may want to attempt the lofted drive. Viv Richards is the master of this shot, and he's not fussy who he plays it against.
Viv's after him. Have a look at Richards here. Down the wicket he comes, and whack.
Oh dear, that could be a 6. That's a great hit. Straight down the ground, over long on. What a magnificent player.
No real drama there for Viv. Almost just caressed that over the fence.
Then there's the square drive, one of Alan Border's favourites.
Shot. Another one for that little coaching tape you can be putting together at home or your coaching school.
Border, typical of the great left-handers, able to hit the ball off the front foot, square of the wicket. He opened up the face, just ambling through. He realised there was going to be a boundary.
The back foot drives are also an extension of the defensive shot. Steve Waugh excels at these.
Great shot. That takes him to 1 short of the half century, and this has been a good innings from Steve Waugh because he's been beaten a few times. He got a torrid time from Neil Foster when he was starting out. So we watched that favourite shot of his, that back foot drive. But every time the bowlers have made a mistake, he's put them away. And there's the 50. What a great way to bring it up.
Both the front and back foot leg glances are also an extension of the defensive shots. Here's Bill Lawry with some thoughts on how to play them.
Because of modern field placings, one of the 2 most important shots I believe in an opening batsman armoury is the leg glance, whether it be on the front or the back foot. The front foot glance, I think, is a shot that can make a batsman work the ball nicely against good tight bowling in the early overs. It's very important, as you do in the forward defensive shot, that you get the foot to the pitch of the ball, give the ball the full face of the bat, but at the last minute you turn your wrists and glance either fine or square. The laws today only allow 2 fieldsmen behind the square leg umpire, so in fact the leg glance can be a very profitable shot in the early overs when the field is attacking. The back foot glance is also a very profitable shot for top order batsmen, but you have to be careful when you're playing the back foot glance that you keep the leg covering the leg stump well intact and you glance the ball square enough to evade the wicketkeeper. Once or twice we've seen in recent days batsmen like Jeff Marsh of Australia glancing too fine and being caught behind by the wicketkeeper. It's very, very important that you hold your position covering the leg stump, give it the full face of the bat, but make sure that you work the ball well square of the wicketkeeper. But the back foot glance is certainly a shot that should bring top order batsmen many runs against good fast bowling.
It's a nice shot by Richardson, getting right inside of it and deflecting it from off leg stump. But McDermott's line, which was disappointing as well in the first innings, when he strayed down leg side, again proving costly for Australia.
Your ability to deal with fast bowling will be enhanced if you can play the horizontal bat shots well. My old skipper, Les Favell, once said to me, "You'll never make international cricket, son, if you can't hook or cut." Certainly helps if you can play one of them, and probably even better if you can play them both well. Let's start with the cut shots. The important thing here, first movement, is the backlift. Good solid backlift, and then the back foot goes across towards off stump so as you're in the correct position to hit the ball. Then you come down on the ball and roll the wrists on contact.
That'll bounce straight back off Ultra.
My goodness, he's hit that well.
And if you want a left-handed example, look no further than Australia's champion, Alan Border.
Great shot. Loose delivery, but it still has to be hit for 4, and it was beautifully played by Border.
Yes, it was a lovely shot. That takes him to 49. He's received 110 balls in this innings, but have a look at this. Short outside off stump, magnificent timing and placement.
The cut shot is played to the ball just outside off stump. If the ball is short and coming up towards your chest area, then the pull shot is the correct shot to deal with that one. The movements are very similar. First thing, the back lift. Then the back foot goes back and across to off stump. Keep your eye on the ball, and once again you hit down on it and roll your wrists to place the ball away in front of square leg or perhaps just behind square.
That's wonderfully hit. It wasn't that short. And Richardson spotted it early and really put back to ball.
And that's probably the best pull shot we've seen in this match. Not only did he pull it square, but he kept it down. He hit straight to ground, bouncing just past the umpire, never lofting to the outfield.
Richardson plays the shot in the traditional fashion off the back foot, but Viv Richards often plays the more difficult version off the front foot.
That's beautifully played. That was off the front foot as Rodney Marsh. That's 4. Pulled just forward to the square leg umpire. Superb stroke.
There's not too many players in the world that can play that sort of shot. It's sensational. And coming forward and then just transferring his weight onto the back foot and just caressing that ball in front of square leg. And that's a sensational shot. You won't see a better shot anywhere than this. That's just beautiful.
Okay, you've just cut the fast bowler for 4, then you've pulled him for 4. Now he's mighty angry. He charges in, bangs one in a bit shorter still, and it's going to rise up to around about head height. Here's where you need a good hook shot. Most important with the hook shot, don't try and hit the ball too hard. The movement's very similar to the pull shot. Back lift, back foot goes back and across to off stump so that your head is inside the line of the ball. Remember, the ball hasn't got radar. It won't miss you, you've got to miss it. Right, you're inside the ball, now you hit down on it, roll your wrists, and at the same time your feet swivel so that you finish up facing in the direction where you hit the ball.
That's beautifully hooked. That's one way to stop a fair amount of short pitch bowling. Keep hooking him like that.
Yes, that's the best way by miles. That's a magnificent shot. 2 men back down there, and this shot hit straight into the gap very firmly and with a lot of ease too. No real problems there.
Here's a tip. When you're facing a fast bowler who's bowling short and angling the ball across you towards the slips, don't try and hook it to fine leg. Smash it away in front of square leg. Play the pull shot. And if it's wide enough, even smash it straight back at him. That'll soon stop his short pitch stuff. Having dealt with the quick bowlers, let's move on to the spinners. What's required here is quick, decisive footwork. Alan Border is a perfect example.
That's outstanding footwork from Alan Border. Couldn't stick that one in the coaching manual.
Magnificent shot from Alan Border. 1, 2, 3 on the half volley and pierces that gap. That is magnificent.
My method varied slightly from Alan Border's in that I crossed my feet on the second movement. The best way to learn good footwork is to do it at walking pace. 3 paces you come out of the crease and deal with these spinners. Look at the distance that you're out of your crease, a good couple of metres. That really changes the length of the ball. Most batsmen tend to move slightly onto the ball of the front foot against the spinners. From there, they can quickly push back to deal with a short delivery.
The other matches, and that's a beautiful shot from Haynes. He's backed away, giving himself plenty of room and hit that straight through between point and cover, the gap beautifully.
Once again, that's a good example of the improvement in Desmond Haynes' footwork. Started to come forward as soon as he picked up the fact that it was short. He was quickly onto the back foot, and then all he had to do was time it and place it, and he did both of those things perfectly. Great shot.
Desmond Haynes has recently improved his play against the spinners. Bill Lawry has some good advice about practice.
I believe there's only 2 places you can improve your batting. One is in the centre and second is the nets. Well, I guess in the centre it's up to the bowlers for how long you occupy the crease, but certainly there's no reason why you shouldn't spend hours in the nets. And I believe as a schoolboy, one of my great improvements was made when I made the state squad as about 16-year-old. I batted on good wickets at the Albert Ground here in Victoria, and I spent hours in the nets. Had my teammates throw the ball to me, throw short pitch deliveries or half volleys, just to give me the confidence of playing the shots that I wanted to play. You cannot spend too much time in the nets when the conditions are good when you're a batsman. Work on your deficiencies, improve your strengths, and your game will improve overnight. But there's no substitute for practice, whether you're a great player or just a beginner.
Another short one and another boundary. He really has laid into that one. Peter Taylor's fingers may be getting a little tired. Something's going wrong. That was a rank long hop.
Well, he's been challenged, and that was a shot that Doug Walters played so well against the spinners here on the Sydney Cricket Ground. If you drop short, bang.
When you're practicing batting in the nets, simulate match conditions. Have field placings in your mind, and when you play the ball into the gaps. If you get the opportunity to watch good players, do so and listen to what they have to say. Then go into the nets and practice what you've heard and find out what works for you. Hard work brings happiness when you arrive at the crease in a match. So keep your eye on the ball and happy run gathering. There's no more exciting sight in cricket than a magnificent fast bowler flowing up to the crease and letting fly with a fireball. Australia's former world record holder Dennis Lillee provided fans with many such sights.
Chappel's got it. That is the record. The wicket-taking test match record. Larry Gomes put Greig Chappel, bowled Dennis Lillee to give Lillee 310 wickets in test match cricket. Holds the record now. What a great performance from a great fast bowler. Even though he's very elated, Richie.
I believe that the new ball bowler has a job to do, and that is to get initially a breakthrough and then try and follow that up with 1 or 2 more wickets. Now, if that doesn't happen, he's got to be content with bowling to one side of the wicket, a bit more line and length rather than attacking, and try and contain the batsmen if they start to get on top, ready if a wicket falls to then strike again.
Well, the atmosphere electric, and Lillee in to bowl the last ball of the day. He's bowled him! He's bowled him! The last ball of the day. Lillee getting one to nip back, finding the inside edge and bowling out Viv Richards. Well, what a magnificent start for Australia. The West Indies 4 down for 10, and the crowd absolutely ecstatic. Well, the great man doing it on the last ball of the day, getting rid of the real West Indian danger man. What a magnificent ball. Well pitched up, nipped back, and Vivian Richards out bowled.
Now then, if that doesn't work, of course, he's got to be ready to come back again when the second new ball comes and get quick wickets and try and help clean up.
He's gone, yes, 9 wickets. What a wonderful performance from Richard Hadley. One of the all-time great performances at the Gabba. His teammates must congratulate the great fast bowler, and what a privilege it has been to watch that performance. Line length, experience, and beautiful control.
Probably the most frequent question asked of me by young kids is, how do you swing the ball and cut the ball? Well, I suggest when probably get to the age of about 14 or 15, you just concentrate mainly on a grip, and that is a basic grip of the ball is fingers slightly apart on the seam and your thumb underneath, with the ball not too far into your hand, sitting out there quite nicely so that it's under control. And to bowl an outswinger, I'll put the ball away from you so that you can see how it will look in your hand. The shine is on the opposite side you want the ball to go, so that in this case the ball will swing out that way towards the slips to a right-hand batsman.
Oh, he's been bowled absolutely neck and crop by Terry Alderman. What a magnificent delivery that was. We'll leave it here, Ian, and go up to the commentary box with Bill Lawry and Tony Greig, and we'll see that replay. It looked a damn beauty from here.
Thank you, Rodney. What a magnificent outswinger. Once again, Terry Alderman from stump to stump gets the ball to move and takes the off stump.
Beautiful delivery. You can't do much about those.
Now, obviously, the opposite applies to an in-swinger, with the shine now on that side, and the ball will angle slightly in towards the right-hand batsman. Okay, there's a slight difference in actions, but it's too early to go into that now. Seaming the ball or cutting the ball are two different things. Seaming the ball generally is a wider grip on the ball and hitting the seam if there's a little bit of moisture in the wicket and hoping the ball will go one way or the other. Cutting the ball is a different thing altogether. The grip for cutting the ball varies. The one I used was very wide grip, further into the hand, purchase on that finger there along the seam with that one nice and wide, and pulling down on the side of the ball, pulling down quite viciously. Not wrist spin, but actually pulling down with the fingers.
And another one. Rackerman this time. Mansur Akhtar goes. Was never quite covering that. Rackerman's bowled pretty well from that southern stand end. He's been getting a little bit of extra life, and that may have been why Mansur Akhtar wasn't completely behind the ball in playing defensively.
I suggest that boys get out on a field, have a marker, run up to the marker, close their eyes, think of a steam train, building up and then going along to its final destination. The same in a condensed manner is the run up to bowl. With their eyes closed, once they've hit the mark, run until it feels right, bowl the ball, someone marks the spot where you land, and then it's normal walking paces to see how many paces it is, and that should be your run up. Combining that with the delivery is probably the most difficult part, in that so many guys don't manage to get side on. Once they're running up front on, they can't convert that to side on. To my way of thinking, the most important leg is in fact the back leg. You've got to jump around onto that back leg to try and get the leg as parallel to the crease as possible, therefore bringing your body around and then bringing up the left arm high looking inside with everything up nice and high, pulling down with the left arm, and everything else should flow right through down the left-hand side of your body, and don't stop it there. Let everything follow through for 4 or 5 paces away from the wicket area. I think when you talk mental, it's a matter of really pushing hard when things aren't going for you. When it's a really hot day, when the body is hurting, which it often is, if you've got cut toes, bleeding feet, whatever, it's a matter of pushing through that pain barrier. Obviously, another side of the mental part of it is you as a bowler trying to dominate the batsman. And by that I mean make sure you are mentally on top of him rather than he be making you feel as though he's got it all over you. Even if the situation is, in fact, his way, you've got to approach it and make him think that you are still hopeful of getting a wicket at any stage. So it's a positive mental approach.
Lillee again to the night watchman, Croft.
It's hit him on the pad, that must be close. He's given him out, he's gone. Out LBW, Lillee's got another one.
Probably the most important ball to bowl to the tail, to these guys, because they're not very competent as batsmen, generally, is a good Yorker. So a lot of practice in the nets on bowling Yorkers, especially maybe as towards the end of a bowling session you start to get a bit tired, so you're simulating conditions as they will be when you get to the tail when you're bowling in a game.
And there it is. Yes, I think that was very predictable. Right on target.
And didn't he set him up?
When you're bowling, you visualise your run-up. You can feel the run-up and you can almost visualise it, even though you're running in and bowling. In your mind, you can visualise a perfect run-up and a perfect delivery. Now, that's not always possible, but if you're visualising it, then it feels better to you as you're running in and bowling. The other important thing is that a lot of guys tend to just bowl the ball and put it in play. Now, whenever I bowled, I felt that I could visualise the ball before I let go, hitting the pitch and really zooming off the pitch to the keeper who was having difficulty taking the ball. It was coming through so fast. Now, that's what I visualised so that I could feel the ball going further than the stumps and the batsman. And I think that's probably a good thing for you to try and learn at a young age. Having said all of those points, I want to make one final point, and that is that fast bowling is a very, very hard game, both mentally and physically. Put the hard work in training and you'll find the game, even though it will never be easy, will be a lot easier than if you don't put the hard work in the training field. But above it all, enjoy it. It's a great part of cricket, but make sure you enjoy it.
Off-spin bowling became more fashionable in Australia following the success of Ashley Mallett in the late 60s and early 70s. One of Mallett's proteges, Tim May, is now continuing that tradition in the Australian team.
And he's gone. Carl Hooper goes without scoring. A wicket for Tim May.
Inside edge and just knocks leg stump.
Former England captain and all-rounder Tony Greig included off-spin amongst his armoury, and many of his test wickets were taken with his tweakers.
In respect of bowling off-spinners, one first of all needs to have, and it applies to all bowling, a bit of a philosophy. I mean, if you're a fast bowler, you're bound to be really aggressive and attacking, I suppose. If you're a spinner, you need to be aggressive too. Certainly have an attacking frame of mind from the time you start. Now, by that I mean you've got to look at your field. It's very easy to put all the fielders back and tell them to save one, but that's really not acceptable. You've got to get batsmen out, so you've got to have attacking fieldsmen. So let's just go through a field to a right-handed batsman for a off-spin bowler. First of all, you must have a slip, because if the ball doesn't spin, every now and again you're going to bowl one straight through, you want someone there to take that catch. Then there's going to have to be a man at backward point, because good players tend to run the ball in that direction as opposed to hit it through the covers. Leave a gap square. I think that's important, because if the ball's spinning back to a right-hander, you want to try and force him to play the ball with an open face bat into that gap, and in so doing create a little bit of a gate for you to bowl him out. And then you have an extra cover quite straight in the mid-off, so that he hits the ball straight down the wicket. That's where it'll go. Obviously a mid-on, who's going to be quite straight, depending on whether you're bowling from over or around the wicket. A straightish mid-wicket is there also to stop that straight drive or slightly wide drive of mid-on. And then you've always got to have one back behind square on the boundary, down a deep square leg. He's the man that stops the ball from going to 4 for 4 when it's swept. And then there's always a man around about 45 degrees behind square on the leg side. One more left, so we have 5 on the onside. We'll bring him into forward short leg, because if the ball spins back, it may hit the inside edge and just pop up in front of square for a catch in that area. Righto, we're in a nice attacking frame of mind. We've got our field set, and it's a good attacking field. We're going to bowl these guys out. We're going to bowl them out with off spinners. The off spinner's grip. Let's have a look at that. There's the ball. You have to splay those 2 fingers as wide as you can. I'm lucky I've got big hands, but as a youngster you don't, so don't overdo it. But that's the grip. Get them splayed, and really I think that section there of the finger is the area that should blister and even bleed if you bowl a lot of overs. That's the one that's going to do the work on the seam. So you really are trying to impart some spin onto this ball by using the rough seam. No good using that section, because your finger will slip over the top. You won't grip it as well. So there it is. You get in there, and the movement really is like that. That finger is going to make that ball spin like that, and it's going to go down and then turn inwards.
Well, we're going to see the off spinner. Well, he's bowled him. Clean bowled. Well, it is appropriate that Peter Saylor should do it. It's obviously important not to spin every ball as much as you can. I think it's important for an off spinner to be able to spin the ball. You've got to work at making sure you can turn the ball. But if you spun every one, the batsman tends to know what's going on. So what you do is you don't let all your tricks out of the bag straight away. You run up and bowl it. Don't try and spin it too much. Get your length and line right. And then every now and again, you spin one a little bit more, and hopefully he won't be expecting it. Now, there are various things you can do. When you hold the ball like that, you can, if you want, spin the ball down the pitch a little bit. These are the variations, or you can spin it that way. Now, if you spin it down that way, it's not going to turn quite so much, and perhaps just hurry on, but it might dip a little bit more, because it's like a little top spinner, really.
And he's got a good top spinner, and that was very well bowled.
And how happy Peter Taylor is here. Not nearly the same turn on that, coming straight on through. Bottom edge, and this time into the hands of the keeper.
The art of off-spinning, really, apart from turning the ball, is to get the batsman into a situation where he's misread the length. And if he does that and you turn it, well, then you've got a great chance of either bowling him out or get him to pop a catch up somewhere as a result of not being able to get to the pitch of the ball.
Botham. Out! Big catch! Marsh at short legs, taking a beauty. He didn't really go for it, but he was very close. That is a superb catch. And the second wicket to Peter Taylor, that of Ian Botham.
Well, what a fairy tale beginning for Peter Taylor. He gutsed it out with the bat. 1 wicket, that of Lamb, and now the mighty Botham.
So there it is. It's quite simple. You've got to practice it like everything else. You've got to bowl long and hard every day of the week if possible. And remember, there are, again, certain things about individuals that they discover themselves. Don't think you can read it all out of a coaching book. You go out there and you work out what's best.
Richie Benaud was the first Test player to achieve the double of 200 wickets and 2,000 runs. As a batsman, he was an aggressive stroke player. As a bowler, he was a thoughtful leg spinner.
Oh, magnificent catch by Simpson. What a fine catch. Left-handed there. He's a fine slip fieldsman. So that's Allen out, caught Simpson bowled Benaud for 10. England 189 for 8. Benaud now 6 wickets.
Well, that was one of 2 marvellous catches Bob Simpson took on the final afternoon at Old Trafford. 2 of the greatest catches I've ever seen. One of the things a leg spin bowler needs is to have a marvellous wicketkeeper and a great slip fielder there. They're 2 of the most important men you can have, because the ball generally is spinning away from the bat. The other thing you need is to bear in mind the 6 important aspects of leg spin bowling. The first of those is concentration. Concentration of anything less than 100% to me should be a punishable offence. From the moment you turn to run in, your concentration should be solely on the spot on the pitch where you want the ball to land. Patience is essential. Bowling's a very tough job, and you'll sometimes need to work on a batsman for several overs before actually putting a plan into action. Do you really wish to disregard the fact that if you take 1 wicket every 10 overs, you'll have the best strike rate of any Australian spin bowler in the history of the game?
And well caught. Beautifully caught there at short cover. Really was a very good effort. Murray Bennett, spin bowling partner. And they have worked well together as bowlers, and they've combined beautifully to get rid of Larry Gomes.
Then there's variation. Now, some people will tell you that the only thing that matters in spin bowling is that you should have mechanical line and length. Well, if you do that, then you become a mechanical bowler. That's no good. You've got to have the ability to bowl accurately, but that comes from all the work you do at practice as you're a young man. But subtlety is the key to good spin bowling. You need to bowl in subtle fashion, and you need to make certain that you're working on the batsman all the time. You can't really go out there and try to get a wicket every ball. It becomes very frustrating, and sometimes it can be downright dangerous.
And that's out. A big nick there, well taken by Ian Healy. Once again, the spinners have troubled Gus Logie, and Trevor Holmes has got a good reward for some excellent work.
Then there's economy. I'll ask you a question. Is there any reason why, when you're out there playing cricket, you would want to give the batsman more than 2.5 runs per 6-ball over? It's the subtle variation that is most important for the over-the-wrist spinner. The obvious ones, like obvious slower ball and the obvious quicker one, not of much use, because a good batsman will pick them instantly and be very wary. Practice. I can assure you that dull, boring practice is a waste of time. You need to be out there developing your skills, working hard in the nets. I used to stay in just one net and bowl at opening batsmen, middle order batsmen, tail enders. Just make sure that I knew how to bowl at them in the nets, so that I'd be able to do it when I got out in the centre in a pressure situation. And finally, there's attitude. You need calm, purposeful, aggressive attitude. You want to stay on top of the batsman all the time. You need a good memory, so if you don't see him for a couple of years and suddenly he appears out in the centre, you know exactly what his weaknesses were, and you can look at them for a couple of overs. But you need that steely resolve to make sure that he will never get on top of you. And you do that in any other walk of life. Got him. Well bowled. Well bowled. Rolled that over the top of his fingers. Perfectly pitched for the drive. The grips used by leg spin bowlers for their various deliveries are very much an individual thing. There have been bowlers over the years who have used extraordinary grips. Some, like Jack Iverson and Johnny Gleeson, had most unorthodox grips, but they were very successful. Others are more orthodox. Now, I had one basic grip that I used for just about every delivery, and that was where I kept the top knuckle of the index finger resting on the seam, and then I had the top knuckle of the middle finger and the knuckle back from that also running down the seam. That gives you extra purchase on the ball. That means that you're spinning the ball off something rough, you'll turn the ball more, you'll get more purchase on the whole thing. Now, when the ball comes out as a leg break, it will come out like that. And assuming you are the batsman, the ball will be turning in that fashion, be spinning and turning from leg to off. Robert Holland now, leg spinner, bowls to Viv Richards.
It's in the air and well taken. Beautifully taken by Kepler Wessels. That ball spun and Viv Richards followed it. And a tremendous grab there by Kepler Wessels at first slip.
And what a beautiful delivery. The perfect leg break. Pitched just around about middle and off. It bounced, which is very important. He committed Richards to the shot. He tried to glide it through the gully. There was too much bounce and too much spin, and Kepler Wessels in the game. And Bob Holland strikes a vital blow for Australia. Beautiful piece of bowling. Richards was looking to come forward. He was forced back by the good length. It bounced, and Kepler took a sharp catch. The crowd's gone mad at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
If you're bowling the top spinner, it will come out of the hand like that, and the seam will be going straight down towards the batsman.
Peter Sleep. Got it! He's bowling! 15 for Australia! They've won with 1 over remaining, so the run of outs ends the end of a very memorable Test match.
If you're bowling the wrong one, then it will come out like that, and it will turn from off to leg. The seam will be pointing down to fine leg.
Abdul Qadir has got a real bounce in his step. Oh, and that's a good delivery from Qadir. The wrong one has come back quite sharply. There may have just been a little bit of inside edge there from Hughes. And once again, Qadir has had the better of the Australian captain.
Certainly a wrong one, spinning from off to leg. Got in between a little inside edge, but he beat him completely in flight. And the Australian skipper not picking that delivery out of the back of the hand at all. A fine performance by the leggy. A vital time for Pakistan now. He breaks through with the new ball due, the second new ball, and hits off stump.
With the top spinner I used for subtle variation, it looked like a leg break, but it came out between those two fingers, the middle finger and the one next to the little finger, and it was pushed out so that it was turning like that to very, very fine leg. Not to fine leg down there, as the wrong one would be, but just past the wicket keeper. And for the flipper, it was the same grip, but the ball came out of the bottom of the hand, like that. Came out from underneath the hand, and it turned in that fashion. And he's done it. Now, that was pretty well bowled. It was shorter than Sleep wanted it, but it was his flipper. And it hurried on to Aravinda de Silva so much that instead of pulling it square, he could only get it to mid-on where Campbell took the catch. Even though it didn't pitch just where Sleepy wanted it, it was still well bowled. A warning, though, to young cricketers, don't try to bowl that ball when you're young and your bones and your tendons and your ligaments haven't formed. It's very easy to stretch, and that is a difficult ball to bowl. It puts an enormous strain on your wrist and on your fingers, so you just take your time. Don't try and bowl that until you're older, until your muscles are hardened and your ligaments and tendons are okay. It'll be very valuable to you later on, but you don't need to bowl that until you're well into your teens. Field placings are very important, not only for the leg spinner, but for the captain as well. And I would always prefer a captain who had some idea either about playing leg spin bowling, which a lot of them do because they're good batsmen, or having had the chance to do some of it himself. It doesn't always work, so far as I'm concerned, to have a fast bowler setting fields for a slow bowler. Now, the first field placing is the orthodox one I used to use, and it's slightly unusual when you look at the field placings these days in that it has a slip and a leg slip. The rest of the fielders on the offside, apart from the slip man, backward point, cover, extra cover, and mid-off, who is slightly wide because I'm coming right arm over the wicket. Then on the onside, there's a mid-on saving the single, there's a mid-wicket, there's the leg slip pointed out earlier, and there's a deep backward square leg. And that was the field I used to use. I preferred the man at leg slip for the top spinner or the flipper, where the batsman was playing forward, and I wouldn't dream, other than in extreme circumstances, of having a man at short point and short forward square leg. The second field placing is different. It's for the player who is a good driver, but occasionally will loft his drives. And I've taken away the leg slip, and I've put in a man 3 parts of the way down the pitch on the offside and 3 parts of the way down the pitch on the leg side. There is an orthodox square leg just behind the umpire and a deep forward square leg. Mid-on has gone deeper. He's covered by the man in there on the onside in catching position, and the 3 men on the offside range from slightly forward point to cover and to mid-off. Now, the third field setting is for a really attacking batsman, sometimes a tail ender. There's the orthodox slip, 4 men on the offside, 3 of them in saving the single, and there's a long on. There is also a long off, and there's a deep forward square. Now, those men can be shuffled around depending on where the batsman is hitting the ball. But that is the basic field setting I would keep for someone who's lofting the ball into the outfield. I'd be quite prepared to give him the chance. And the overriding thing about all of those field settings is that I was trying to buy wickets.
Rodney Marsh was a keeper of great skill and strength. His record of 355 test dismissals is a testimony to both those assets.
He's nicked it, and Rodney Marsh, has he got it? Yes, it's a fumble. He's got it, though. So Rodney Marsh has taken the catch, albeit that the ball bobbed out of his hand and then back into it. Pussy Momar, having been dropped by Greig Chappel, is now caught by Rodney Marsh.
And beautifully bowled by Jeff Lawson. The extra pace he's generating this morning is troubling the batsman. Marsh snatched, knocked it up and grabbed it as he rolled over, wide of the bat. There goes Marsh's right hand. He knocked it up, he gets it on the rebound, and Kazim Omar departs, and a great start by Australia, and particularly Jeffrey Lawson.
That certainly brings back fond memories. Keeping for Australia and taking catches for Australia, very, very nice feeling. It wasn't such a nice feeling when you dropped a catch, because your job as a wicketkeeper is to catch everything that comes your way, to take everything that comes your way, stumpings, etc. And it's very, very important that you as the wicketkeeper set the standard for the rest of the fielding team. If you've got a nice, tidy keeper out there that doesn't miss anything, and he's always encouraging his fieldsmen to do exactly the same thing, you'll find that in the end you finish up with a very, very good fielding side.
Keeper going after it, Jack Richards, Small coming in, and Richards is the one who gets it. Marvellous catch there by the keeper, Richards.
Well, as far as technique is concerned, two things really count. Your hands and your feet. Very, very important. Let's just concentrate on the hands to start with. I always liken keeping wickets or catching a cricket ball to, if you can just imagine, a fence, a cyclone fence, wire in it. You get a cricket ball and you go bang, and the wire actually cushions the blow and the ball drops out. You throw a ball against a brick wall and it'll bounce back. And basically what I'm trying to say is your hands have to be soft. They have to give with the ball. In actual fact, when your ball first comes to you, you might touch it out there and finish up catching it there. It might be a distance of, say, 30 centimetres or so. By the time you first make contact, to the time when it actually is lodged in there. And that's what you must have, soft hands. Now, two other things that are very important. Your fingers have either got to be pointing down or they've got to be pointing up. In some instances, they can be pointing to the side. That is a very special one, which you won't even get involved in. But in the main, fingers down or fingers up. Now, the main reason for that is, if you want to keep wickets, you want to have 10 good fingers. And if you start catching the ball like that, or like that, you finish up with not too many good ones left.
That's got him. He's gone. Great success, the first test wicket for Alan Eggleston. Ball moving away from Taylor.
And what you're trying to do basically all the time is to take the ball, and I'm talking about fast bowling now, off fast bowling. Take the ball on the down because it's going a little bit slower when it starts to drop, and you're taking it at waist level, around about waist level, on the down.
Hogg to Zahir.
And that's out. That is out. And Rodney Hogg worked hard for that one. Rodney Marsh wasn't going to take the risk of letting that go to through to Wayne Phillips, and that was a beautiful catch by the Australian keeper and an excellent piece of bowling by Rodney Hogg.
Superbly bowled, but Zahir once again committing himself to the front foot. It wasn't a half volley. That was a very ordinary shot, but well bowled Rodney Hogg.
Now, talking about footwork, I've never ever seen a pair of hands walking around by themselves. They just don't do it. They go where your body goes. So your feet take your hands, and the best method I found was actually crossing my feet over on the balls of my feet, which then gave me that opportunity to perhaps take a wider stride, which got me even more width. And that, I promise you, is very important standing back to fast bowlers.
And a shout there from Ian Healy, and Ravi Ratnaker walks.
And basically what we're trying to do is to take the ball on the inside of our body all the time. So if a right-handed bowler is bowling to a right-handed batsman, you're taking it in there on your left hip, which means if the batsman gets an edge, then you're standing up and catching it. Very, very simply. And if he gets a wider edge, you're still reaching for it. But you've covered all that ground, and that's very important when you're standing back, to be able to cover a great amount of width. They talk about the width that a keeper covers standing back. Very, very important.
Got him. Yes, he breaks through. Finally, Border gets a nick and a fine catch by Jack Russell, diving across to his left.
Yes, magnificent innings. Neil Foster just getting that ball to go away, and Jack Russell, a lovely little catch, diving over to his left, nice and low.
Similarly, down the leg side, you're trying to take the ball on the inside of your body, which means just about your right hip, and that's important.
Oh, and he's been given out by umpire Holder. Jeff Lawson coming back into the attack has picked up the England captain.
And here it is. It's a fairly innocuous delivery down the leg side, just to flash at the ball. One of his David Gower flips at the ball, and there's no doubt there from the fielders or the umpire that he just helped it to the keeper.
Standing up to the stumps, the same things apply, but obviously in a very more confined space. But the same technique applies.
And that's out. A big nick there, well taken by Ian Healy.
He's hit it in the air on numerous occasions. This time, a nick there, straight into the gloves of the keeper, Healy.
People often say it must be difficult to stand out there all day with gloves and pads on in the boiling hot sun and concentrate for 360 minutes in a day. Well, I never really found it all that difficult, because apart from the fact that you had a lot of fun out there, you were with your mates, it was very simple to concentrate if you broke your concentration after every ball, basically. When the bowler turned, you switched on. When the ball was dead in your gloves, or it had been hit to the fence or whatever, you switched off for a couple of seconds, waited till the bowler turned again, and then you switched on. And that's the way when you're keeping, and in fact when you're fielding, it should be the same thing, to break your concentration as often as possible, but don't forget, you've got to switch back on. The other thing about concentrating, it's far easier to concentrate when things are happening out there, when you're getting wickets. When you aren't getting wickets, well, it gets a little bit tougher, and you've got to use your brains a little bit there and just learn how to work things out for yourself and how to concentrate. But when you, as the wicketkeeper, take a fantastic catch, for example, if you're going one way and there's an inside edge and you dive over and catch it left-handed or two-handed or whatever, and the mob come around you, when I say the mob, your teammates, it's a fantastic feeling, and it lifts them. And that's part of your job. If you can pull off a screamer, it lifts the whole team, and you can bet your life 2 or 3 wickets will fall straight after that, if you're lucky.
Beautifully taken. What a magnificent catch. It's all been happening. And Healy inspires the Australians once again.
That was a magnificent catch. Inside edges are always tough for the keeper.
Oh, and has he caught it? He has, and he's given him, no, yes, he's nodding, he's given him out. Well, that was a magnificent catch by Gus Lillee. He's taken one or two straightforward ones, but that really was a beautiful catch. It must have been a very thin inside edge, hit the pad, went forward, and Lillee, who's really very quick, had to dive way to his left to pick that one up. A lovely catch.
Taking a catch in a test match doesn't just happen, not for any of us. All of us, in fact, go back a long way, certainly in my case, to our school days where we started our practice. Now, lots of youngsters these days go to the nets, have a bat and a bowl, and they forget about fielding practice. Well, when I was a youngster, we weren't allowed to do that. We had to have some practice in the field every time we had a bat and a bowl. This is how we used to do it. We used to, in fact, straight away go and have some long catches, and then we used to come in and have some close catches using a cradle more often than not, but everyone together. And there was always competition associated with our practice. If you dropped one, you went to the end of the queue. In the case of the long catches, if you dropped one, you got another one, and another one, and another one until you caught it. Vitally important to make sure that the practice is done.
It's out. No, it's not. Well, that's a sitter. Perfect bowling and poor fielding. That should have been out. It was waist high. It was straight to Greenwich. He was annoyed, and well, he might be, because it was in and then out.
You needed to create a situation where you were confident, because it's amazing. If you catch a few, then the next one seems so easy. Conversely, if you drop one, you wonder whether you're ever going to catch the next one, especially if you're playing in a test match.
And brilliantly taken by Alan Border. So what a catch to join Colin Cowdrey. A magnificent catch there by Border, very similar to one that he took in classic catches. In fact, that was against New Zealand, I reckon, when they were here in 85, 86.
You've also got to know when to concentrate. A lot of people talk about concentrating or think that concentrating means standing there, not talking to anyone all day long. The important thing, rather like batting, is to be concentrating at the right time, and that really is just before the bowler lets the ball go until it in fact is either in your hands or the action is over. So you can have a chat, you can tell a joke, you can do what you like between balls, but you must be concentrating when the ball is let go. Now, my philosophy in terms of catching was very simple. I used to spread my legs into a comfortable position so that I felt that I could move quite quickly either way. I actually don't mind too much if players fall down. You hear these days some commentators criticising players that fall down a lot. All that really matters to me is that the ball gets caught. How you do it, I don't really mind. So you've got to remember that we can't tell you through coaching tapes or books how to do it. You've sometimes got to find your own way and feel comfortable with it, and if it works for you, you stick with it.
Lawson to bowl, and keep your eyes on Greig Chappel.
It's gone! He's caught him! What a ripper! The last over before lunch. Gower crashing, and Greig Chappel, that master slip fieldsman, threw out the left hand and takes up a classic catch.
Question is, what do you watch? As the bowler runs in, I used to always watch the ball. Fielded at second slip mostly, but I watched the ball because I liked to know what height it was coming past at. The difficult thing is to know whether to go down or whether to get ready to come up. And of course, the one that comes into the middle here, where you're not quite sure whether to catch it this way or that way, is a very difficult one. And very often in situations like that, you're better off trying to get slightly out of the way of the ball so that you can take it like that without being impeded by your chest or your tummy. And in this case, you could move sideways. So there we are, nice and comfortable. Concentrate, watch the ball going past the bat, and if it's nicked in your direction, nice and still and steady with your head, and then you start moving once it heads in your direction.
It's an in the air, what a catch, magnificent catch there by Alan Border. Well, he's been standing in that position, waiting for an opportunity to make a contribution, and what a catch it was. Gilbert got the edge, Border went full length to his left, and he caught it in the end of his fingers.
It's a magnificent catch by Alan Border. Took the Australian captain to get it. He'd just taken Hilditch away from that third slip position, so he had to go after it. Reid not moving the feet, but Alan Border airborne. He had to go one hand to try and get that little bit extra distance that isn't elated as he holds onto it.
Another aspect that's vitally important is positioning. Now, as youngsters, we used to touch each other's fingertips, and that was about the right distance to be apart. But there's also another aspect that's important, and that's the staggered aspect. You really don't want to get into each other's way. No point in diving to your left and banging heads with your mate who's at first slip. Better off he's a little bit further back, normally about a yard behind the wicketkeeper. The second slip is probably in line with the wicketkeeper, and of course the third slip is even further forward. And the reason for that is if the ball is edged, the thicker the edge, of course, the less it's going to carry. So that is vitally important. That staggered format, even if you've got 4 or 5 slips, they need to be closer as they get wider. Very, very important to get your positioning wide, and don't be conservative. Don't go and tuck yourself behind the wicketkeeper if you're a first slip. Be attacking, move to the right a little bit and make each other dive full length. And also, don't forget that if you're just in front of him and it's not going to carry to him, you can in fact dive in front and catch the ball, which he would have had to catch on the half volley.
Positioning is also important when you're fielding at slip for the spinners. For the leg spinners, you should be at about a 45-degree angle to the batsman. That's to take the thicker edges that seem to come from the leggies.
Bob Holland relieving young Craig McDermott. Michael Holding. Got him. He's gone. Yes, first ball. Bit of reflection off. Rickson went to the slip. Vessels, he did the rest, and Holland strikes again.
Very good piece of bowling, just short of a length. Straight away, this fellow right onto a length. Holding not covering the spin, and Holding picks up a duck.
OK, that's about where you need to be to take the catches off the leggies. But the off-spinners are a different kettle of fish. They seem to get thinner edges. So therefore, you need to be finer to take the catches there.
And that's gone straight to Greig Chappel, and he's out, caught at slip. So, had a very casual shot there by
Madgid going for the big drive straight away, and the ball just lobbing up to Greig Chappel, who very casually caught it and threw it away.
Well, certainly a very casual piece of cricket here. Marchant attempting to drive. The ball drifts away on him a little, and Greig Chappel takes a very simple catch. Taking a catch in the sloops is a thrill, and if you do it properly, you'll experience the thrill without any pain. Don't be frightened of the hard ball. If you catch it properly, it won't hurt. In recent times, there's been a dramatic increase in limited overs internationals. This has meant more opportunities for good fielders. One of the best examples in the Australian side in the early 80s was Trevor Chappel.
My aim in the field was always to work out how close I wanted to be to each batsman, and that varied, obviously, depending whether the guy was somebody who liked to stand there and hit the ball hard, or whether he was more likely to push the ball around and look for short singles. So that was the first thing I would do, work out exactly how close I wanted to get to him, trying to give him the option of running if he wanted to, and yet giving me the chance to run him out if at all possible.
Or there could be danger here, and Trevor's got it, and he's out. He's run out, he didn't even bother putting him back.
The first thing that usually happens on the field is your captain will set the field. Don't, once that has been done, think that you don't have to look at the captain again. It is very important that you keep your eye on the captain at all times. With varying wickets, I would adjust the angle that I approach the batsman on. Normally, it would be fairly straight at the batsman, but on a flat wicket where the batsman's on the front foot looking to drive and push the ball in front of the wicket, I would change that angle to some 3 or 4 yards down the wicket from the batsman to enable me to cut off the firm shots more easily and open up the bowler's end stumps for a shot at them in the event of a possible run out. What is important though is that at the point where the batsman is playing the shot, your weight should be up on your toes, your weight forward in a crouch position, and your hands in front of you ready to accept the ball if it comes in your direction. Should the ball not come in your direction, your job hasn't finished. There are things to be doing like backing up a throw, calling the person who's chasing the ball which end to throw, or in fact telling him whether he can throw it easily or whether there is a chance of a run out. So it's a matter of thinking ahead all the time to the next possible play. As youngsters, we're all taught that this is the correct position with which to field the ball. For a right-hand thrower, this is the way to do it, not off your right-hand knee, off your left knee, so that once you've got the ball, you're ready to throw it. Once you've become competent at fielding the ball in this manner, I wanted to go on and explain how is a more attacking way to field the ball. It's virtually the same position, except that instead of having one knee on the ground, you've got both feet up, and the ball coming to you in the same position, in line with your eyes, and your eyes right over the ball as you're picking it up.
Richards, this could be interesting. Oh, and he's hit them. He's just got the edge of the off stump and just tipped one bail off. I thought for a moment he'd missed, but his record's pretty good. And once again, Vivian Richards has struck in the field.
Magnificent piece of fielding. Then an Allen Border just a little frustrated. Really, he was tempted into that single. You can see there just a moment of hesitation, and then he decided to go, and Richards picking up, summing it up, having a good look and just hitting the base and deflecting past Clive Lloyd.
Okay, the ball has come to me from this direction. What do I do with it now? As I come up, you want the throw to come as much as possible over the top back to the keeper. But in this position, you also have the option of throwing to the bowler's end. And it's very important to have the arm come over the top as much as possible, both for accuracy and to do the minimum of damage to the elbow and shoulder. With the ball coming, throwing around your elbow, you can do a lot of damage to the elbow.
Clive Lloyd. Oh, yes. Well, he might be 40 years of age, but it doesn't stop him pulling off one of the better run-outs we're likely to see this summer. Took him a moment or two to get started. When he did, he was really motoring, and Border knew he was in trouble there. That was confirmed for him just a second or so later.
You might think that it's bowlers who take wickets, but without the help of a good fielding team, their job is that much more difficult. The fieldsman should be assessing each batsman, looking for opportunities that may arise to set him up for a run out. Watch how he runs between the wickets, how he turns when he's running between the wickets, whether he's getting tired after a long innings. And keep these things in mind and plan your fielding around them.
Superb catch, claimed, and he's gone. Well, that's the second one we've seen from Benaud this afternoon. Sprawling himself on the turf and coming up with it low down.
As with slips catching, for infield catching, balance is important, but most importantly is the position of your fingers. If the catch is directly at you, pointing down towards the ground, and your hands cupped, even interlocking the little fingers to give a bit more support. To the side, again, the fingers are pointing away from the ball. I mentioned earlier about balance. This is achieved by both the position of your feet and a slight bending of your knees. You want your feet about shoulder width apart, your weight evenly on both feet, not too far apart so that you can't move any further, and not too close together so that you may overbalance. It's nice and comfortable, shoulder width apart, so that you can move either to your right or your left or up either side.
While the good infielders get all the kudos, don't forget that there's also a job to be done in the outfield.
That's it, it's high, it's miles in the air. Hughes is coming around, and so it's a what a catch! That's the greatest catch. Oh, unbelievable, Stephen Waugh, running backwards, almost colliding with Hughes down there, and the side screen. What a catch.
Probably the best outfield catch you've ever seen. Running with the ball, he caught it easily in the end, he kept his eye on the ball.
When you're placed in the outfield by the captain, you're not out there for a rest. There are a lot of other factors that come into your thinking at that stage, such as the direction of the wind, so that when you throw the ball you can allow for it, the position of the sun, in case there's a catch in your direction, you can position yourself so that it's not in your face, and also, again, when you're throwing the ball back in, so that you're not throwing the ball in the sun to whoever you're throwing it to. Then, having assessed that, it's very important that you watch the bowler in his delivery and try and watch the ball from his hand to pick up the length that he has bowled and perhaps the direction to give you that head start if the ball is coming your way.
He said that well, but Logie is down there, takes a wonderful catch. He rarely doesn't miss much in the outfield or even close to the wicket. He is such a brilliant fielder. Anticipation, and then leapt at the last moment to hold it down.
When in the outfield, there's another two alternatives that you may have to the catching position for the balls hit very high in the air. When you're on the move, it's best to take the ball with your hands cupped. Again, the fingers are pointing away from the direction of the ball, but producing a cup for the ball to lob into and keeping the ball in vision. If you're able to get under the ball and sit and wait for it to come to you and it's very high, you may also be able to use this other alternative position. Again, keeping the hands in such a position that they don't block out the path of the ball. But I stress that this is really only if you're able to get underneath the ball and sit and wait for it to come to you.
It's gone again. Well, he's gone this time because he hasn't cleared mid-on. He's getting under as Marsh. He's there, and he's caught it. Good catch. Fine catch.
And for the final word on fielding, Bill Lawry.
But fielding is one thing only, really, I believe, and that's concentration. You can never waver your concentration. Every ball, you're involved, whether it's fine leg or in first slip or at cover. And concentration is the key to fielding, apart from improving your skills, your throwing skills, your catching skills. But really, that moment you don't concentrate, that's when you muff a catch or miss a run out. But you mustn't neglect your fielding. I look forward to fielding as much as I did as batting, particularly when you're a non-bowler. If you're a batsman that doesn't bowl, you must be proficient in the skill of fielding. You cannot afford to miss the ball on the ground. You certainly cannot afford to drop catches regularly. And it's like batting or bowling, practice is the key. Get in the nets and practice your fielding, your catching, your throwing, your running, and then you'll not only enjoy fielding more, but you become a very important part of the side when you are bowling.
Richie Benaud was a successful and dynamic captain. He played his part in reviving not only Australia's fortunes, but those of the game of cricket in the early 60s.
Team bowled. Australia have won and they've kept the Ashes. They've won by 54 runs. Congratulations to Australia, to Richie Benaud and his men. A really surprising victory after the return of fortunes today. I don't think anyone would have backed them when England were 150 for 1. Well, hats off to them. They've kept the Ashes, but England can still square the series if they win at the Oval. And there's Richie Benaud looking as happy as any man has a right to be.
Old Trafford, 1961. That was the most important and delightful moment of my captaincy career, mainly because it embodied all the philosophy I believe in as regards Test match captaincy. One of the things about it was we had to make a decision on that last afternoon because we knew we couldn't draw the match. We could only win it or lose it. And bear in mind, you're not just playing for yourself and for the other players in the team. There are millions back home in Australia listening on the radio or reading about it in newspapers. The fielding was superb. 2 great catches, marvellous out-of-this-world catches by Bobby Simpson. The captain remained in charge, as he must be, all afternoon. And the main thing was we carried the attack to the opposition.
Yes, he's caught by Simpson at slip. Murray caught Simpson, bowled Benaud. Benaud's now taken 5 for 53, 5 for 53, and England really in a bad mess now, 171 for 6.
Captaincy is 90% luck and 10% skill. Don't even think of trying it without that 10%. It'll be a disaster, I can assure you. Just a little shorter border, or did it carry? It carried all right, and that's another one down. The catching has been very, very ordinary in this Test match. Stay 2 overs ahead of the game. That is vitally important. See an opening and go for the jugular.
Now what Alan Border's doing here is bringing Greg Campbell up from fine leg to a short mid-on, and he's trying to save the single to keep LeBroy on strike to Greg Campbell. It's 7 for 334.
The one who mulls it over for the next 10 minutes will watch the next series from the comfort of his living room.
Let's have a look at the field here for Marshall. Viv Richards, of course, in a position to really place attacking fields. He's got 3 slips in position and a gully. So 3 attacking men alongside the wicketkeeper there, and out in the cover area, just the 2 saving a single.
Successful Australian captaincy has always been based on attack. Attacking batsmen, bowlers who are seeking wickets and not just trying to contain the opposition batsman, aggressive fielding and sensible aggressive field placings.
Ring of fieldsmen around Kirtley Ambrose. First day of a Test match, slip, a gully, man coming into a short cover, silly point, short leg, Border applying the pressure.
Make sure your players concentrate on the skills of the game. Don't allow them to be sidetracked into the areas of psychology and theory. Just concentrate on the skills. Keep it simple and enjoy the game.
Oh, what a catch.
Watch him get off the ground here. It's really smashed hard at him and in his fingertips. Alan Border enjoyed that too. That really was a tremendous catch.
Always carry the attack to the opposition. Never, ever let them get on top of you. No Australian captain should ever have to apologise for his team's attacking and determined outlook on the game, so long as the dictates of fair play are always observed.
And a shout there from Gus Logie. What a brilliant catch that is. Steve Waugh now looks around to see that umpire King has given him out. And he's querying something or other. I don't think he's querying the fact that he hit it. I think he's asking the square leg umpire, did he catch it? Now, hang on. Len King has changed his mind. But I think we saw there that final motion from Gus Logie, which showed the reason why umpire King changed his mind. Gus Logie at first thinks that he's caught it, throws it away, but then he looks down at his hands and he thinks about it and he says, no, I didn't catch it.
Always look for a win. When you lose, always learn from the defeat. The captain, and only the captain, should be in complete charge of the cricketers who play under him.
Well, some wise words on captaincy there from Richie Benaud. We hope that you've enjoyed this Wide World of Sports cricketing tape, and more importantly, that you've learned something from it. But remember, whether you want to be an Australian captain or play at international level or just enjoy your cricket out in the park, remember that cricket should always be fun.
That's a good delivery there from Lawson, and a great catch by Rodney Marsh.
And that's out. Caught by Greenwich. Magnificent shot by Greenwich.
A field for a catch, he's gone. Oh, what a catch.
Got him, beautifully bowled. What a Yorker. Oh dear, that could be a six. That's a great hit.
That's it, it's high, it's miles in the air. Hughes is coming around, and so it's away.
It's gone, he's caught him. What a ripper.
That's straight to Viv Richards.
Got him. Well, Marshall, and you get plenty of bat on that. That's what a catch.
Well, what about that?
Oh, and he's gone right through his defence.
He's got him. Second time, number 8.
Greig Chappel's got it.